Hey guys, it's Madison. Thanks for joining me in this faithful home. Today is not an exciting video. I've actually tried to get myself ready and composed to film this multiple times now, and I haven't yet. So I'm gonna attempt it and we'll see if I can make it through. Talking about my second miscarriage that I went through. Obviously, you saw that by the title of this video. I experienced another miscarriage. I am now, once these videos are posted, able to talk about and share about my trials through these miscarriages and how I am surrendering to the Lord and how that has gotten me through it. And I want to be encouragement for women who have suffered a loss or experiencing it now, or just how they can be a supportive friend throughout this process if someone else that they know, another woman, is going through it. So there's a lot that went on in this pregnancy. We're 11 weeks is when I miscarried. And yeah, so we're gonna split it up to, I have some notes. We're gonna split it up. This first video, I'm gonna talk about finding out I was pregnant after a miscarriage, my first trimester, and then the unexpected ultrasound that left us with the missed miscarriage information. So before I begin, I would love to connect with you guys over on Instagram at This Faithful Home and talk to you guys over my DMs if you want some more encouragement or if you have any questions that, maybe not fit for the comment section here on YouTube. And if you want to, over on YouTube on here, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so you feel welcomed into This Faithful Home with me. If you are new here, I have a whole playlist. I was pregnant back in February and then had a miscarriage. That would have been our second baby. I have one daughter who is 1 year old. I have 3 videos that I filmed throughout that journey. I will leave them down in the description box or up in the cards so that you can watch that if you are interested. After that miscarriage, the doctors didn't give me any guidelines on waiting to get pregnant again. I was 7 weeks along at that point. I naturally miscarried, meaning I didn't have to go through any procedures and I didn't have to take any medicine or anything, and so my body naturally passed the baby that we lost. And so they didn't give me any parameters on not trying, so David and I were super eager to try again, and with great joy we found out that we are pregnant, and I will insert a couple clips of that. We're pregnant with our rainbow baby. Come here, Lorelai. Put clothes on her so that she could say hello again. Mama's pregnant again. Mama's pregnant. I'm gonna be due November, end of November. Okay. I need to make a game plan for how I'm gonna tell David. Okay, so this is what I came up with for David. There is a rainbow balloon arch, or white balloon arch. And then I used our rainbow stepping stones that we had from the playroom to make a rainbow. The letterboard says, after every storm there is always a rainbow. November 2023.
What the heck? Why didn't you tell me when I got home?
Well, you went to bed.
Oh. How many did you take?
3.
Okay. Yay! Yay! You see the balloons? Baby. Baby.
So this would have been my 3rd pregnancy, and this time was pretty much the same as my 2nd pregnancy that ended up in a miscarriage and my 1st pregnancy that we went full term and had our beautiful daughter. I didn't have much morning sickness. I had a lot of cravings, a little bit of motion sickness here and there, but nothing too crazy. I did film some weeks of a weekly recap. That my goal before the miscarriage was to obviously compile a 1st trimester recap. And so I'm not gonna share all of them, but I do wanna share some clips from there so you guys can understand how like I was feeling and you know, some of my thoughts for getting pregnant after a miscarriage. I think so far it's been good. Today I'm a couple days past 6 weeks, and this is the point where I started the miscarriage of our last pregnancy. And so there's like, I'm calm, I'm very at peace about it, but there is obviously the nerve and that like what if of, you know, we only made it this far last pregnancy. And so knowing that we're here now, I'm super thankful, I'm super blessed, but obviously like each day is a new day in this pregnancy, and we don't know necessarily what to expect, but we are just trusting in the Lord through it. And I feel good, so that is definitely a plus. Ignore the mess, this is real life. We go for our first scan next Tuesday at 10 weeks, 2 days. Yes, due dates are relative, but we go for our first ultrasound next week. I don't think I've had any more pregnancy symptoms. Oh, no, I think I talked to you guys already about craving vinegar or like vinegar items, so like pickles, salt and vinegar chips. That's still been relative. Other than that, pretty smooth pregnancy thus far. I'm very happy about it, very thankful that I haven't gotten sick. And it's really exciting because I am going through this pregnancy with one of my best friends.
I'm pregnant too. Oh my god! When's your due date?
And she has also had like pretty much no symptoms. So we are basically like the same pregnancy. So everything that you've seen leads me up to right before our ultrasound. And so basically after the first miscarriage, the doctor's office that I went to for the ultrasounds, they were really great, and just like a super amazing doctor's office. It's in a hospital in town, and they really treated me with a lot of care and compassion. And so I had called them back to schedule an ultrasound for the current pregnancy that I'm talking about.
Thank you for calling. To reach the appointment line, press 2.
I want to schedule a confirmation ultrasound.
Do you know approximately how far along you are?
I believe that I'm 6 weeks and 2 days.
At 10:30.
I can do that. Okay, well, it's set. We'll get to see our little nugget. All right, I'll check back with you guys next week for another update. Actually, let's jump back to the day before. David broke a crown on his tooth, and he had to get into the dentist like for an emergency like fix. And the only appointment they had was literally like 30 minutes before my appointment for this ultrasound for this baby. And he was in so much pain. I was like, it's okay, go, like I'll just go to the ultrasound by myself. He didn't want me to go by myself because of all that we went through with the first miscarriage. And so my mom went with me, and I had Lorelai, and he was like, I'm gonna try to get there as quickly as I can from like finishing my appointment. So I'm like sitting in the waiting room, like texting him, and he got done with his dentist appointment, and he like started making his way up to the hospital, which was like a 40-minute drive for him. And they'd called my name back, and I did like the initial like vitals and everything. Saw the nurse that I've seen every time. She's fantastic. She's super sweet. And then I like go sit back down in the lobby with my mom and Lorelai, and we wait, and then they call me back again, and this time it's to go get the ultrasound. And so my mom, Lorelai, and I go into this room with the ultrasound tech, and the first miscarriage, that ultrasound tech was like stellar. She was like talking me through it. She was saying like, I'm looking for, the baby, but I'm not really finding anything. And she was kind of walking me through it, which I've watched videos on miscarriages here on YouTube. And a lot of women across the board are like, the ultrasound techs couldn't tell me anything, and their face was kind of like confusing, and I couldn't read them, and I was very anxious, and I had to wait for the doctor. And I didn't get that the first time. Like, even though I went through a miscarriage, like she was straight up like telling me what was what. And I appreciated that, and I was like, oh, maybe this is just different. So I'm in like a happy mindset. I'm going to the ultrasound. I'm going to see my baby. My mom's here. She's going to see the baby too. And we lay down, and this ultrasound tech, she was nice. she was the stereotypical what you expect. And so she like went and like globbed some goop on my stomach and just did like one pass over and didn't like see the baby. Saw the gestational sac, but didn't see the baby. And so she immediately was like, okay, we got to do a transvaginal. And I was like, hold on. Why? Because I'm 11 weeks along at this point. There should be no need to get a transvaginal ultrasound. And she was kind of like, oh, why are you questioning me? And she was like, oh, well, you might not be as far along as you think, and we need to like see, we need to go in and get a better view. And I was like, well, can you try harder? Basically is what I told her. Like, well, can you try more with this, like, over the belly? Like, do more than just a swipe through, because I don't want a transvaginal ultrasound. Like, I literally have waited this long because of this. And so she was like, yeah, that's you're right. You can refuse to have anything done. And so I initially declined to have a transvaginal, and she went back through. And she was trying, but she wouldn't say anything to me. And I just started like breaking down crying, because obviously I'm looking at this empty sac that's on the screen. And my mom's trying to calm me down, and Lorelai's getting fussy. And it was like flashing back to our first miscarriage all over again. And it was just very traumatic. And I'm looking at this blank thing going, I have had zero doubt in my mind that we could have anything wrong. Like, I've been healthy, I've been happy, I've been eating well, drinking well, taking my prenatals, I've gotten nauseous, I have super intense cravings, and like I'm gaining a little bit of weight, and like this should be textbook happy, healthy pregnancy at 11 weeks along, and there's just nothing there. And so she was like, okay, like finished up, put the thing down, and was like, I'm gonna go get the doctor. And I was like, hold on, wait, I want you to do the transvaginal. And she was like, you literally just didn't want it? I was like, well, I need you to do it now, because she was not giving me the time of day that I was wanting, which I get that everyone says that, and I understand why, so don't come at me for that. But it was frustrating. And I was like, no, just do it. And she was like, are you sure you're consenting to this? I was like, yes, do the transvaginal. I want to see if there's the baby. Does her transvaginal, I get dressed down, whatever, and there's nothing. No baby, but there's a sac. There's clearly a sac. And so at this point, I'm like texting David, like, it's bad, I need you. And I don't know how he got to the hospital so fast. Thankfully he didn't get pulled over, but he was like, I'm coming, I'm almost there, like I'm parking right now, I'm already there. And so the nurse, the ultrasound tech cleans me up, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go get the doctor. And with the first miscarriage, they were not questioning whether or not I was pregnant, but like, are you sure that you had a positive pregnancy test? Are you sure your dates are accurate? And I was like, I've taken multiple tests. Like, I took 2 on like 2 different days. That kind of stuck with me. Like, that still sticks with me in the back of my mind that they questioned me on it. And I know they were doing their job, but this time around, this pregnancy, I was like, I'm not taking any of this chance. I probably took like 10 pregnancy tests for this pregnancy. And so I had taken them like several days apart, and he asked me this time around, he said, okay, when did you get a positive test? And I was like, well, I've gotten multiple, like at least 6 positive tests over the course of a week. And I counted back, I was like 6 weeks ago at this point. And he was like, okay. He was like hoping like maybe she's just not that far along, and the sac is there, but the baby's not yet, because you're only like 6 weeks or something. And when I told him like, no, I got a test positive 6 weeks ago, he was like, okay, well, let me just regroup on what I was about to tell you. And so basically he goes in to explain that I was experiencing a missed miscarriage, which prior to my first miscarriage, I had no idea what that was. But after having my miscarriage, I obviously watched a ton of videos and different women's stories and read about the different types of miscarriages. And one of them being a missed miscarriage, which means the baby has died, but your body still thinks you're pregnant, and it still makes those pregnancy hormones and doesn't shed the lining of the uterus like a regular miscarriage would. So with my first one at 7 weeks, I started bleeding and I passed everything naturally. And so that's where we were. And it sucked so much that I was so confident this time that this pregnancy was healthy. My best friend is still, as I'm filming this, she is pregnant, and we were within like a week apart from each other. I had told a bunch of family and friends that we were excited to have our rainbow baby, and just so many things were going through my head that were losses. Not being pregnant with my best friend, not having this baby, going through another miscarriage, a missed miscarriage, what does that even mean for my body? And so all of these things are like flooding through my head. The doctor was super sweet, great guy. He's been in this practice for, gosh, like 30 something years. And he's like the head doctor of the OBGYN group. And which, if you're wondering at all, I do use a midwife, or I did for my first pregnancy. And I've attempted to use the midwives for these last 2 pregnancies, but they don't do ultrasounds. And so that's why I was going to a hospital for the ultrasounds, separate from my midwife group. Anyways, so this doctor, he kind of was explaining, you know, what a missed miscarriage means and what the options are. He said, based off of what I'm seeing, so the fact that my sac is empty, but I do have a gestational sac, he said he's gonna give me 2 weeks for my body to recognize that I'm not pregnant anymore and naturally pass everything. But if after those 2 weeks that hasn't started, then I need to do a follow-up with him, and we'll talk about a DNC or medication or something to help finish the miscarriage and get everything out of my system so we don't risk sepsis, we don't risk infections, and we can get my body back to normal, if you will. And so we left the hospital, and I was just at a loss for words. I canceled plans that I had for during the day, but we had Bible study that night, and I still wanted that. I still wanted to be around, you know, people who were praying for me this whole time, and it sucked. That's not even the hardest part of this story. And I don't want this to be a one long drawn video because there is so much to unpack for my story, and I want to be able to share it and talk about the struggles that I went through, talk about different types of miscarriages, talk about the hurt and the pain, because there are so many women who suffer from the loss of a miscarriage, who physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually are burdened by their loss. And I want to relate because I can and share my story because I have this platform to do so. And so I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to pick back up with where I'll be sharing my traumatic ER experience where I almost died, and then the second procedure that I had, and then everything that followed for the rest of this miscarriage. So thank you guys for coming and supporting me on this channel, supporting me through these miscarriages. I honestly have no idea when I'm going to even upload these videos because we're still processing it right now. It is towards the end of May as I'm filming this. We have been on this journey since January, and it's been rough. But I want you to know that if you're going through it, I'll be praying for you, and you can get through it because I've gotten through it, and the Lord is gracious. And yeah.